And we're joined now by Juana Summers, political editor at Mashable. Juana, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So what do you make of Chris Christie's reaction to Donald Trump leading in the polls?
I think Chris Christie actually makes a really smart point there. I was talking to a senior Republican strategist who's been involved in old elections, and he told me, this is very early in this cycle. We're still in what's called the earned media stage. Most candidates aren't really going up on air. This is really still the getting to know you section of the Republican primary. So for him, he said it makes a lot of sense that somebody like Donald Trump, who's a known commodity, who is soaring on both his celebrity, he has a very big reputation, he's a household name, as well as the fact that this is an anger so far where people on both sides of the aisle, if you look at the rise of Donald Trump, also Bernie Sanders and other candidates on the Democratic side, this is an election where voters want something other than the status quo. That anger and that resentment of the same old business as usual in Washington is really what they say we're seeing playing out here. Now, how long that holds, that is anyone's guess at this point.
Let's talk about the Democrats for a moment. Let's talk about Hillary Clinton in particular. She is changing her tune about the email controversy. Here's what she had to say yesterday. Let's take a listen to that.
It clearly wasn't the best choice. I should have used two emails, one personal, one for work, and I take responsibility for that decision.
That sounds like a 180 change. What do you make of that change in her demeanor?
It's a very big change, and my read on this is that Hillary Clinton and her campaign team here in New York realize that the Republican candidates are putting focus on these emails, that people are seeing this as something secretive and as a reason not to trust her. So what you're hearing her say is that, I'm going to have these emails come out. She really wants to put this to rest, and her team believes that the more of these emails come out and become public, the more that people are able to see that there's nothing nefarious, that they'll understand that this is just a trumped-up controversy and not something that should imperil her position in the polls or a reason for Democrats not to fall in line behind her.
Juana, let's stick with Clinton for a moment, because there's this new poll out today from Quinnipiac University, and it shows that among Democratic voters, Clinton's popularity has slid from where it was last month. What do you make of that?
First of all, again, it is very early in this election, but I think that, again, you're seeing this yearning for something new. We have talk on the left side of the aisle about possibly Vice President Joe Biden getting into the race. We're seeing Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders draw thousands of people across the country who are excited and energized by the new threat of ideas. Martin O'Malley is still barnstorming every state. So what you're seeing is that people see that it's very early. And I think another thing that you're seeing play in with Secretary Clinton is a lot of people don't like being told that the choice has already been made for them, that the options they might have at the end of the day are a Clinton or another Bush. They don't like that, and I think that's what you're seeing in the polls. Of course, the Democrats haven't even had their first debate yet, so how long this lasts and whether or not she will surge again or more voters as she ramps up will trust her will be a really interesting storyline for us all to watch.
Can I talk about Joe Biden for a second, because he hasn't made a decision yet? It's so interesting. Obviously, there's a lot of sympathy out there for him, given what he has gone through recently with the death of his son. And you look at the poll numbers, he's polling pretty well compared to some other candidates. What makes Biden popular, and what would be some of the cons to him running?
One of the biggest things people love about Vice President Biden is the fact that he tells it like it is. This is a man who doesn't run on a script. He made his name in Washington by talking very liberally, openly. He's the guy who puts his arm around everybody's wife and mother-in-law and what have you. But there are also risks. Vice President Joe Biden, in an era where we right now are talking a lot about crime and race and policing, was responsible for a landmark 1990s policing bill that I'm sure that his opponents would love to seize on if he does in fact get into this race. Also, if Americans are in fact looking for someone new, can they be assured that the current sitting vice president will be enough of a change in pace from what we've seen from the Obama White House so far? And that's an open question that he and his backers will certainly have to explore.
All right, Juana, we have to go, but really quick, do you think this media blitz by Christie is going to pay off? Do you think he'll make it on the stage for the next debate?
I think he's certainly hoping so, but it's a really tight race. There are a lot of Republicans who are hoping that they'll be able to make it on that stage.
All right, Juana Summers, thanks so much.
Thank you.
And Donald Trump is on the campaign trail in South Carolina today. He's speaking to the Upstate Chamber Coalition in Greenville today at noon Eastern Time. We'll have live coverage of that event right here on CBSN.